come on. There we go. Hmm. So, what's going on with you today?
Lovely body symptoms. They came on about on Monday
Oh,
or Tuesday morning. They came on, and honestly, I feel like I've been riding high since our last session,
mm,
and I'm like, oh, maybe this is it for a couple weeks, and then yeah, just feeling I don't know if there's another UTI. I'm on oral antibiotics right now, and so. I don't know, honestly, but I'm not feeling 100%, and so I'm just like, ugh. So, yeah, it's just been, I feel like that maybe there's something deeper,
yeah,
possibly, that's, yeah, I don't know, really know, but I'm like, not feel 100%, kind of like tired, sore, and I, yeah, I could just, yeah, discover what comes up. I don't know.
yeah.
So,
We never, I never know till we. I'll tell you, I've been doing work on myself for, in this particular way. I've been doing it for many years, but intensely for the last 3, 4 years. And so I even go to my teacher once a month, and then I have other people I work with. So there's always something I discover that I about myself that I need to work on. So, and it usually is the work gets deeper and deeper. In other words, it's more get more and more primary stuff, I guess, as I've done the work. So the surface stuff, then other things just kind of unfold, I would say. So, but I'm glad that we were going. It was feeling really good.
no, it was amazing. It was amazing. I was like, wow, I feel just back to normal and just felt like amazing and clear and just yeah, like um yeah, it's just like really, really good. So um yeah.
Well, I'm glad. I'm grateful for that part. That's really good.
Yeah, and just knowing that like I'm choosing this experience out of my infinite power to choose, and that love is choosing this, even though it doesn't feel like love. It feels like a lot of negative emotions, but it just trying to be patient and loving with myself, and
Yeah,
realizing that nothing's wrong, you know.
yeah.
So
It's just it's releasing things like it works like a spiral. And I would say I have things go well, and then you know then there's something else to work on. So I just so I know how that does with my own life. So I just assume it happens with everyone else as well. I do have to say that the last session was one of the deeper sessions I've done for anybody. It just came from a very I felt like I was channeling something very deep at the end of our session. It was
yeah,
really
yeah, I felt it too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that it did move some stuff. I was grateful. Um, it just it was anyway. It was a gift for me. The last one was truly a gift for me as well. So okay. So what I think we'll do is because I'm not getting a direct hit on anything. So let's just and I did not get an answer for UTIs, so I have no idea why. Sometimes spirit does not tell me, so I have to tell you I don't have all the answers, and many of the answers I get from spirit, and so I have to, some things I don't know, and other times I do know. So we'll just see what happens in the session.
All right.
But we'll work on the. I'm hearing we're going to work on the body, so we'll see what comes up. Last time we worked on the body, and then that started um, showing me deeper and deeper things. So I think that's how we're going to work today. If that sounds good to you,
Sounds good to me.
okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you in a mild altered state like I do usually when we work. The less stuff starts unfolding right away, but I'm hearing just that we're going to work on the body. So, yeah. So, what I'd like you to do is just, we're going to start with you getting really in touch with your body, sitting on the chair, and just noticing how the chair greets your body and how your body greets the chair. There's like a boundary, but there is this support that comes from the chair. And then just notice the floor beneath the chair with your mind dropping down to the floor and seeing how the floor is here in support, solid, solid. Then dropping down into the foundations of the building, noticing how the foundations are supporting the floor, just solid. And then dropping down into Mother Earth. That support that we have always in a 3D world is our main support that first shows up as primal is Mother Earth. We don't go spinning off into space. And we're part of Mother Earth, just like the cells in our body are part of us. We're one working together. Mother Earth is here, solid, supporting you. And there's the earth and the foundations and the floor and the chair. And notice in your mind's eye where the sun rises in the east and following it across the sky where the sun sets in the west. And notice where there is south and notice where there is north. And you sit in the middle of this compass today, Thursday, May 23rd. And it's from here, this place and time and dimension that only you can be in, that you begin the work. And you can go from this place, this now place of presence. You can travel to any time, any dimension, any place. And so it's from this place that we start. And if it's all right with you, I'd like to arrive by your side, if that's okay. So I'm going to arrive on your right side. So I'm just going to come in. I'm finding myself arriving behind you, but I will be coming forward slowly so your body can adjust to me energetically. I'm not feeling any pushback from your body, which is good. It's beginning to know I'm not there to harm it. So I'm going to be off to your right side. I might come a little bit in front of you. Well, actually, just to your right side. We'll see what the body needs. And I'm going to ask you, is there any part in any place in your body that's speaking up? It could be tingly. It could be any place in your body where you're feeling your attention drawn.
The shoulders.
Okay. And in the back or where on the shoulders?
Like on top.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is, oh, they're reminding me we have to bring in your support first, the other support. So Michael's right behind you, very present. And of course, Mary Magdalene, she's off to your left today. Mother Mary's down at your feet. It's funny, there's a lion off to your right. I'm feeling a lion present laying off to your right side. You have a grandmother that's showing up on your right side, so it must be coming from your father's line. That's showing up this today. That's a new thing for me to see. Also, the lion. I didn't expect to find a lion here. Hmm. Your grandmother is back 2 generations, so it would be your great grandmother on your father's side is standing in support. Hmm. The two Marys are holding hands. They know I normally don't see that. The Marys often show up for me, but they're holding hands, so they're what is it? They're doubling their energy. In other words, they're bonding their energy together. So that's interesting. I normally don't do that. Okay, I think we have everybody that's ready. More will always show up, but that's the team that showed up today. Oh, and some kind of blue crystal. Hmm. Magdalene's holding a crystal in her right hand. Her left hand, she's holding hands with Mary, Mother Mary, but she's holding this blue crystal. I'm just waiting to see what she's going to do with it. Before we do your body, I'm just going to see what she wants to do with the crystal. It's kind of a blue. It's not turquoise, but it's sort of that color, but it's an actual crystal, so it's not like the stone turquoise. And it's like a cluster of them, is what it looks like to me. No, it's darker blue than turquoise. More of like a lapis is what I'm getting. And where you want to put, she's giving it to you, but where does she want to put it? Let me give me a minute. So it's also I wouldn't expect. She's putting it into your second chakra, which is normally not blue, so I'm surprised, but that's where she wants to put it, where your intuition is. She's telling me this will increase your intuition. Uh, she's also telling me it's going to help with the UTIs, so we'll see what that does. But she's putting it just below your belly button in your central channel. So she's just placing it there. She said should help with UTI, so we'll see. But it is mainly putting there for your intuition. So it's like lighting up your intuition. So your body sense of truth. So a gut feeling, let's just put it that way. It's that place where she's lighting up with this blue crystal. And she's just placing it there and it's gonna stay there, she said. It's a gift. So we'll see what happens there. But it will start energizing your sense of intuition. That's what's happening in the belly. It won't be it's not adding warmth or any other physical sensation, but it's mainly there for intuition. But because of UTIs that you're having and issues, it's in a similar place. So I suspect it's going to radiate out in some way. When I yawn, I'm usually releasing something from the field. So just to let you know. All right. So I'm just waiting for that her to finish placing that. That's a surprise. Mother Mary in her left hand has a crystal that it's red. Trying to see what it is. It's not a ruby. Maybe it is a ruby. And she's just placing that in the heart. So you have two crystals being placed, one in the heart and one in the intuition. And I'm being told that you'll have a new sense of knowledge going from the heart, from the intuition into the heart, and the heart into intuition. So there's going to be a better energy flow between the two of those. So I'm just going to wait till that gets placed in the heart before we do the work on the shoulders. So something in the heart is going to open for you with this crystal. Mother Mary's telling me. Oh, I don't know if you know the tradition, the Catholic tradition of the Sacred Heart. So there's a tradition of Mary's connected to the Sacred Heart. So she's just opening up the Sacred Heart part. It's a protection, but it's also an opening, expansion of the heart. So you're going to know more things through the heart, and the intuition is what they're telling me. So you should feel an energy flow between the two. We'll start opening up. You'll have to tell me how that works for you over time, because all they've done is place it in there. So it's going to start working energetically. And so what I'm going to do now, if that's okay, is I'm going to come around your back and just place my hands on your two shoulders. And just offering energy to the shoulders, not pushing energy, not pulling, just offering. And tell me what you're noticing about your shoulders.
Um, Soreness, contraction, um, tension,
Mm.
um, almost like it's like they don't want to be touched. Um,
And so your body is taking it, your shoulders are taking in some energy from me, so they're not quite as uh, I'm seeing like two ropes. They look like cords or ropes. Do you have any past life memories of about the time of Jesus? Do you have any? Have you been told any of that?
no.
Oh. So this is the image I'm getting for, you can take it or leave it, okay? Because it's a little esoteric, but I'll tell you anyway. I'm getting that you were um either helped Jesus carry his cross, or you were one of the one of the thieves on either side that was carrying a cross, but you were there when he was crucified. And I got that you got the cross across your shoulders. And I'm getting this song, were you there when they crucified my Lord? So yeah, just telling you what's coming. You have a deep connection to the crucifixion. And I'm not really a devout Christian, so I'm telling you this with I'm surprised that it's coming up. So I don't normally get this.
I would love to explore that at some point.
Yeah. But it's part of the tension across your shoulders. So it's coming up as part of that. So I'm just telling you what I'm getting as I feel into your shoulders. So it's a past life layer. And so I'm going to ask. Hmm, hmm. Spirit saying that you chose to keep this memory, and just not to forget. It's part of what you're holding on to, is not to forget. And so I'm going to ask that the cross be lifted and that the blessing of being at the crucifixion, the blessing of this be that you can. What I'd like you to do is imagine a cross in front of you, not on your shoulders and back, okay? Just allow it to come in front of you. Um, and notice that this cross, say, I now remember. Just that's all you have to say.
I now remember.
Yeah. And what I'd like you to ask this cross is, can I, rather than carry this memory in my body, can I hold it in my heart as a blessing?
Rather than holding this memory in my body, I would like to hold it instead in my heart
As a blessing.
as a blessing.
Yeah. And what I'd like you to see is that the cross in front of you becomes fully light. And then have that light welcome the light into the heart. So I welcome the blessing of this memory into my heart as a memory of love.
I welcome this memory as a blessing of love
Yeah.
in my heart.
Yeah. And see that light coming into your, now I understand why Mother Mary gave you this. See it lighting up that crystal, that ruby that she put in your heart. Just see the crystal in the heart and see the light from the cross coming into the heart and lighting up the crystal. And it disappears into the heart. It does, the cross disappears. It just comes into the heart and the crystal. Wow, that was a really strong. I normally don't get that kind of stuff. Something's really moving in the spiritual energy around you. Since our last time, something's different. And so I have my hands on your shoulders, just offering energy. And the crystal in the heart has been lit up by the energy of the cross. It's moved from your back and transformed into energy light and moved into the heart. And so one of the layers you were carrying on your back has now been transformed into the heart. So in your accident, how was your shoulders affected by your accident for your neck?
Um, from the shoulders up to my head, I have full physical movement, and
Okay.
those and that part, everything below my shoulders is um, affected where I don't have full use
Okay.
of those parts of my body.
So in some ways, your shoulders with the accident held a full impact. In other words, your feeling and your sense of your body. I'm getting a sense of impact across your shoulders. So would that be true?
Mm.
It feels almost like I'm almost getting like I'll tell you what it feels like to me, almost like someone pushed your shoulders down, like there was a downward push onto both shoulders. And then it went across. it went across the shoulder. So there was a down and then a cross movement is what I'm getting.
A down and a cross movement.
Yeah, on the shoulders with the accident. So there's some kind of downward impact, almost very quick, like down, and then it spread across. Mm. And so I'm just offering a little bit of comfort to these shoulders. Just offering energy and a little bit of I'm offering just a little bit of pressure onto the shoulders, not a lot, but just a little bit. So I'm getting that when you had the accident, there was a response in your body that couldn't be met. In other words, there was not a you couldn't run away. You couldn't, there was not your body couldn't respond, but that your shoulders were holding um the need to respond, if that makes sense to you. And there was nothing you could do, go move, but it still wanted to in the body. There was a kind of response that was not met, if that makes sense. And so your shoulders are holding a lot of that energy from the accident. And so it doesn't take very much for your shoulders to get tight and knotted up and painful because there's an underlying layer from the accident. So all I'm doing is holding and offering energy. And when your body feels safe enough, it can start releasing that energy. Because there was such an overwhelming energetic impact with the accident that the body couldn't release it. It just too much happened all at once. And so it has stored a bunch of the energetics from the accident here in your shoulders. And I'm just supporting, and the body will release it as it will. This kind of work is a little slower than like the other work that we do because the body needs gentleness and kindness. And it has to feel safe enough and supported enough to release the energy out of the shoulders. And sometimes that looks like just burping, farting, yawning. It doesn't necessarily have to have physical sensations. Use a lot of times I start to yawn. I'm feeling deep yawns. I sometimes yawn for people. Yeah. So I'm just holding the shoulders and offering energy. Yeah, something's being released. I can feel the vagus nerve is starting to release. So sometimes people fart. Sometimes, just is surprising with how the body releases. And what are you noticing in your shoulders? Are you noticing anything?
Feels a less soreness,
Yeah.
and it feels softer, like there is not wanting to contract. And I'm getting this like image of like somewhere something inside of me was like bracing myself for hitting the ground,
Yes.
and so there's like the contraction of the shoulders and maybe even the, I think
Yeah, the
you,
startle. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But
that,
you raised your shoulders, so part of the brace was raising your shoulders. And there was the brace as well. Both things are there. And so we're just supporting your body, giving it
and
enough.
I just say one more thing, and it's almost like when I hit the ground, I didn't feel anything. So it was almost like maybe it wasn't even the fall that caused all the stuff in the body and the spinal cord, but almost like protecting myself innocently from the pain, like
Yes.
numbing myself and paralyzing myself to kind of protect me, almost like this womb or like a shell to protect me from the fall.
Yeah.
But I feel
And
like
there's,
now I can take. I don't need that anymore. It's not. It seems like it's not. It's not serving anymore.
yeah, it's, you don't have to hold it anymore.
Yeah.
You can release the accident in terms of your body holding it. Yeah. And the body just releases as fast or as slow as it needs to. Usually it's a slower process because it's held so deeply. And you braced yourself not only physically, but there was an emotional and a spiritual guarding for impact also, if that makes sense to you, because your whole body met the impact with a contraction. That's, you have like a major contraction that's stuck in your body. So you have a sense of it physically. And I ask any ancestors of Adam who are reaching out for this contraction, asking him to, that it's so familiar, ask you to step back and step back. I've created a wonderful room for you that you can go to where there's all the healing energy that you need, and that Adam no longer needs to carry this. I ask you to step back and go to this room. And if you're not certain whether you should be there, I ask you to go there now. And any other ancestors that have are meeting him in this contraction, I ask you just to go to this room where there's light and peace and trust and hope. All the ancestors who are impacting Adam at this point with this contraction, I ask you to step back and go to this room. Oh, the back of your aura has lightened. Yeah, there are quite a few that were stepping in
Stepping into.
your aura. So, what happens is when we experience something that is already in the field of our ancestors, when we step into that level of resonance, they start moving in because there's this kind of overwhelm in the field. And when you start resonating that particular um, vibration, it almost calls them in. And so when you metabolize it, you start metabolizing for the field. And sometimes, I don't know if you've ever noticed, when you get depressed, all of a sudden you find yourself going into a hole of depression that you can't see. So the ancestors are also gloaming on. So it's not possession, it's just they recognize the resonance. And so if you ask them to step back and step back, what you will find is that your aura will clear some, and you'll get to know what is my depression and what is everybody else's.
Mm,
So I just noticed they were moving in, so I'm just asking them to move back, and your aura lightened when we did that. So I'm yeah, just like we got rid of a karmic layer that was there. I'm just asking the ancestors to move back, that what your own stuff is enough. Just some other time you can do the ancestral work, but for now, You have enough of your own with the accident, so I've asked them to move back. It's interesting. Just as an aside, my just to give you some sense of this, I had one sister who was in a gymnastics accident and broke her neck and actually died. She was 16. And then my youngest sister was in a car accident and broke her back. And she was able, they didn't think she would walk, and she did. But in our ancestral field, my great grandfather had broke his back. A car had, one of those early cars fell on his back, and they strapped him to an ironing board where he was for 6 months on an ironing board strapped in the bedroom. And so my ancestral field, there was all of this trauma that was coming down through the ancestral field. And so my little sister has done a bunch of work where so that this won't happen to any other of our children, our grandchildren, that it's cleared in the field.
Mm.
So I would not be surprised in your field that there is some kind of broken back, broken neck, something's in your ancestral field that's playing out for you.
Mm. Wow.
It's not a punishment. It's sort of an agreement you've made before you were born to experience this and help clear the field. So that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and in that, how could it be an accident? You know what I mean?
What?
It's just kind of ironic, like that we call it an accident, but
Yeah,
yet if it's already, set up and planned, then that all this is, done intentionally, even though we might forget when we come in, or
yeah.
that that there is
There's
no, yeah,
there's something about this event because it's so major in your life, so life changing. It's my belief. You don't have to believe this, but it's my sense from doing this spiritual work that we choose our experiences in life to help us awaken. And so there's some deep, you chose a really hard thing. And and it takes incredible courage to live this choice.
yeah,
And
and just to know that this is like healing the ancestral lineage is
yeah,
really actually like exciting. So it's like future generations come that they might not experience
yes,
this, you know, and just to know that it's like it's embedded into the DNA and the codes and all that is
yeah,
just
it
like
really is.
yeah, because that's that's change right there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming from I'm getting it's coming from your ancestral field, and also a personal choice to experience life in a particular way that your soul chose, because your body would never choose this.
Yeah.
You would never choose this in this life. I mean, you wouldn't one day say that I'm going to do this for my ancestors. This came before you were born.
Yeah, and being able to see the like the huge big picture of how this might, you know, affect and change on a big scale. So
And so, one of the ways that I have learned from the big lessons I've had to learn in this life is what can I learn from the experience? What can I mine from the experience that helps me to awaken? Because there's something your soul wanted to learn in this lifetime that is so deep. And it takes incredible courage to choose this. And living this out takes incredible courage. So you are not only living out this experience to awaken, you are also healing something in the ancestral field. Some big trauma that was in the ancestral field is being expressed and being healed through your life experience. And the more you can mine this experience to awaken, the more it helps to heal the ancestral field, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
So it's multi-layered. It's not as simple as something perchance happened, and it's just not how the streams of life work.
Yeah, that makes
So there's
sense.
something, and there's something about the courage of it. I'm just telling you that the field knows and can sense the
Mm,
courage that you're living out life with. That it is not an easy lesson you've chosen.
mm,
And there's something, that's why the ancestor showed up on your dad's side, is saying, is acknowledging the work that you're doing in the field for your ancestors. It's coming from your dad's line. It's not your mother's. It's coming from your father's line. That is my sense.
mm.
Hmm. And my hands are on your shoulders still. Can you tell me what you're noticing in your shoulders? They're taking more and more energy as we've been talking and exploring.
Yeah, they just feel like almost like they're melting into the body where it's more uniform and like one instead of like they're sticking out and they're like almost like not a part of my body. So
And I keep getting this song. Honestly, it's so loud in my head. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? It is such a deep and loud. It's really overtaking my head. So there's this like, it's like a woman singing it, um, an acknowledgement that you were there. You were there, and it affected you deeply.
mm,
There's something, and like I said, I'm Christ, not Christian. I believe in Jesus as an ascended master, but there's something here that is so deep in the sorrow of it, in the memory of it.
mm,
Hmm. Mary Magdalene, Mary says, yes, he was there. He was there.
mm.
You knew the pain of carrying the cross across your shoulders. You knew the pain of it. And yet you chose this experience. And the heart is now lighting up.
Yeah, part of me feels almost responsible
Yeah.
for what happened to Yeshua.
Yeah. And I'm being shown. So I keep trying to, where is the cross coming? So I'm just, you were there when he was crucified, but the cross laid across your shoulders. So I'm just trying to
Mm,
find out. And I'm getting the sense that, there were various people that helped Jesus to carry his cross along because he kept stumbling and falling. And so you were one of those that helped him carry it along the way. There was something with your connection to him. Because all the disciples fled, right? After the Last Supper, they all fled. So the only ones that were there to witness the crucifixion were the women were there. But you were one of those that you knew him and loved him. And you chose to help carry the cross, because I'm seeing across your shoulders that you felt the weight of it. It keeps coming back around to that, even though we've done that, even though there's also a level that's coming from the accident, there's also a piece of that that's still here. Not as a burden, but that it's lifting from your shoulders, that the blessing of it's lifting and lighting up the heart. But you were there. Yeah, your aura is getting a lot lighter, brighter. I felt like I had to come back because the song got really loud again. So, yeah. I got my hands on your shoulders, just offering energy. The heart is lighting up. The the ruby that's in the heart that Mother Mary put in there is lighting up. It's odd, but your shirt is about the color of the ruby that's placed in your heart. So if you want an idea of the color, it's that color of your shirt. Except it's a crystal. I've got my hands on your shoulders, on the right shoulder, on the left. And your shoulders are taking in a lot more energy now. There's something has lifted where it can take in the energy. And what are you noticing about your shoulders?
Yeah, they feel a lot more comfortable. They
Yeah.
feel, yeah,
I feel like there's a smoothing going on. It isn't like so much like you have your shoulders around your neck in a way, that kind of tenseness. I feel like something's smoothing,
yeah.
like muscles are starting to smooth some. And I have my hands on your shoulders, but they go down a little bit down your back. So, like they're cupped over your shoulders, because I'm feeling like the muscles just behind the upper line of your shoulders are starting to release some, taking in more energy. So I'm feeling the energy more in that area of my hands as I've got my hands on your shoulders. Before it was the top of the shoulders where the work was being done, but now it's just down a little bit down your back, as if my hands are cups, my fingers are over the edge of your shoulders, and my palms are like on the back of your shoulders in a way. That's where the energy's going now.
I feel some tension in my knee, like on the left side,
Mm-hmm.
on the outside of the knee. Um,
And so, but one of the miracles of energetic work is I can have extra hands. It's a blessing. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put another hand on the outside of your left knee and just offer it energy. Not pushing, not pulling, just offering. It feels to me like you fell on your left side because there's so many different things that happen on the left. How did you impact? Did you fall on your back or there's something about your left side?
Um,
You may not know. It's
yeah.
just a curiosity.
Yeah, I think you said this before a while back that I might have fell on my left side, and that's why the hip down to the knee might be bothering me. But I honestly I don't really remember the impact.
Yeah.
If I fell, like almost feels like I maybe when I hit I fell on my side, but honestly it's
And
so
you don't
difficult.
have to know that. It's just a curiosity of mine because it feels like the left side took an impact and that your body's holding the impact on the left side.
Hmm.
And so it's just a curiosity of mine, doesn't matter. But there's something, it feels like it's connected to the accident, the left side, the knee and the hip, and the energy moving between the two of them. It feels like an impact injury in a way. So when you release some of the energy out of the shoulder, it's not surprising that because of the response of contracting, I like that energy you were talking about, the contraction. There was also an impact that came on the left side. So as
Yeah,
you,
yeah, because now the shoulders don't feel at all like contracted.
yes,
But that same energy when it first came on, it's like with the shoulders now it feels like it's in that like outside of the kneecap, and then it starts to kind of like
yeah,
go up to the hip.
yeah. And so as the body releases energy from the accident, it's going to travel in the places where it was impacted. So now the shoulders are feeling better. So now the body's saying, but this also was affected. So I'm still feeling, so the energy from the shoulders from my hand is also going wherever your body needs it. But I have put a hand on your knee as well, just to offer it the support it needs. In a sense, saying to your body, I see that you were also affected. I see that the knee also was very valiant. It's very valiant, your knee. It's saying, I also suffer.
Hmm.
I also, I also am holding something. And so we're just offering some energy to the knee and support. Yeah. Hmm. It's funny, my hands that are on your shoulders toward the back, I'm feeling a shaking movement. So there was almost like a something's being released through almost this shaking movement. You know how when people get really scared and they tighten up, and then as things release, they almost go into like a shaking shock? Does that make sense? That's what this feels like.
Hmm.
You may not be feeling this in your body, but this is what I'm sensing in my hands as I'm holding your shoulders. There's this shaking release, which is really good, by the way, because it means the nervous system is releasing something out of your back, out of your shoulders. And I'm getting the message there was so much. There was so much to hold. There was so much. Ah, it's done. I don't know what that was, but it was something let go in your shoulders. Hmm. Now I'm having this odd sensation. So I don't know if this is yours, but I'm having this odd sensation that my left shoulder is higher than my right.
That the left shoulder is higher than the right.
Yeah, it seems like um it's not like it's hugely higher, but there's this sense of something is holding higher on the left. It may also have to do with the impact because I feel like it's somehow being held higher. And sometimes that's just energetic. So I'm just telling you, may not have the physical sensation of it, but I'm having this sense of the left shoulder being higher than the right. So it may have to do with the impact because it's on the left again. Yeah, there's an up and a back kind of movement. I don't, okay, so I'm telling you, Jesus is coming back in. So I'm sorry. It just has been so weird, but I need you to say, I was there, my Lord.
That I was what?
I was there, my Lord.
I was there, my lord.
Yeah, I want you to feel this in your gut because it's a it part of the part of the neck and the shoulders where the agreement there was this taking on this um
Hmm.
there was a deep longing to not to share the experience but to help hold it. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
Yeah, it does.
there's this deep need because they keep getting this song. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? And it's coming and it won't stop. So just so there's a response that needs to come from you, and I need you to feel it from your gut, not your head.
Hmm.
I was there when they crucified my Lord.
I was there when they crucified my lord.
I was there.
I was there.
And just feel that I was there. I was a witness.
I was there.
Yeah,
I was a witness.
yeah, I was there.
I was there.
I saw the pain of it.
I saw the pain of it,
Yeah. And I wanted to take some of it away.
and I wanted to take some of that away.
And so
Hmm.
I release my body
So I release my body.
from the vow of it. You made a vow. I'm feeling like there's a deep vow you made that, oh, please, Lord, let me help carry this for you.
Hmm. And so I release this vow that I've been holding on to all these years,
Yeah, all these lifetimes.
all of these lifetimes,
Yeah, out of just genuine love.
out of genuine love.
I ask to help carry this
I ask to help carry this
for you out of love,
for you out of my love for you,
out of this deep, deep love for you.
out of this deep, deep love that I have for you.
Yeah. And I now know
And I now know
that I no longer have to carry this, that you carry it. You are capable of carrying it all.
I know now that I am capable of holding this,
And that I release it now because you can hold it all.
and I can release it now because I know that you can hold it now.
And and you can see my love without me holding this.
And you can see my love without me holding on to it.
Yeah. I was there and I saw.
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 And I was there and I saw.
And I was there and I saw.
And my heart broke as I watched.
And my heart broke as I watched.
And I released the pain I held for you.
And I release this pain that I hold for you.
Over many lifetimes, I have held it.
Over many lifetimes, I've held it
Out of deep, deep love,
out of deep, deep love.
I release this pain now.
I release this pain now,
But I feel my great love for you in my heart.
but I feel this such great love for you.
Yeah, this deep, deep love.
This deep, deep love.
I was there and I saw.
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 And I was there and I saw.
And I was there and I saw.
Wow.
Hmm.
And I want you to imagine how the deep love you held for Jesus and the deep pain he experienced, you wanted to reach out because it was so hard to witness because there was such a deep love for him. Yeah. Wow. That was amazing. That's amazing, actually.
I almost feel like what you were just sharing, like I wanted to stand in place for him.
Yes.
I did not want him to suffer.
Yes. You there was something about I will take some of this. Let me take some from you. Out of deep, deep love, let me take some. And so you did. But the enormity of what happened on the cross, even a small portion of it was a lot. because he was not only being crucified in his physical body, but he was being crucified for a much, much larger field, if that makes sense to you. And so the suffering was much larger that he was metabolizing, that he was offering. And so when you tapped into that as an act of love, you've been carrying quite a bit across your shoulders and down your spine. There's this, so it's lifting, and the ruby that Mother Mary put in your heart is to transmute some of that. You know, you don't have to carry that anymore. But you first had to admit that you witnessed what happened. From a deep act of love, you were there, where the disciples were not. They did not witness Jesus dying. The women were there, but you were there, and you were you were part of, you were his friend. You loved him. You followed him around as he spoke. There's a sense of deep devotion and love to Jesus is what I'm getting. And as I see you, I mean, as I see you in that moment with him, there was this deep love and devotion for him as the man he was, as the teacher that he was, as your connection to him was deep, deep love for this man. And the pain of standing and watching and witnessing. It took incredible strength to stand and witness. Amazing. Amazing. I've not come across anybody that was there, so it's a gift for me.
Mm. I'm happy that's blessing you.
Yeah, it is a blessing. It's brought me right into the scene of it, so can see it. And how are your shoulders doing?
Yeah, they feel a lot better.
Yeah, they're still taking in quite a bit of energy, so
Yeah, it feels warm and almost like it was like a really good massage.
yeah. Yeah, it's still releasing. The shaking was another thing I've not had that happen before either, but there was this incredible, in my hands, a shaking of something was moving out through the shoulders. And now they're taking in a lot of energy, which is good. In other words, they've kind of opened to receive, where before they weren't, they were so contracted, it was taking a while for them to open to receive. And it's the weirdest thing because woven together was this witnessing of Jesus' crucifixion and your accident somehow were woven together.
Mm.
It's very, very different, actually.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, honestly.
Yeah, it's very out, but it's woven together in some way.
And when you just said the shoulders is like the horizontal and
Yeah.
the spine is the vertical,
Yes.
there's like a cross right there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You
Mm.
chose to bear it in your body
Yeah.
when you chose to want to share the pain out of just such love for Jesus. And I'm getting it's a love for the man. It's not like this abstract spiritual thing.
Yeah,
It
no,
was,
I do. I am very yeah, I love him very much.
yeah,
I was raised Jewish, but you know,
yeah,
now it just what's coming in is I'm seeing a I call him Yeshua or
yeah,
Jeshua, but not what I've heard and experienced all these years, but this new side of him that is very, very exciting, and I feel him so like close to my heart, and just to yeah, just like you said, the man, that we don't know
There
much
was an
about.
intimacy. There was an intimacy of love. It's not sexual, but there was an intimacy of deep, deep admiration, devotion, and friendship. There was a connection that you felt, a deep, deep rooted. All I can say is it has this deep love for it, and to stand and watch him be crucified was heartbreaking, and yet you stood.
Mm. I'm wondering if it's details, but I'm just curious at that time if I was a man or a woman
You were a man.
then.
You were a man. Because I see you at some point helping him carry this cross. It just was very clear to me.
No.
I thought maybe you're one of the because I saw you carrying a cross, and I thought, well, maybe he was one of the the prisoners alongside him, and no, you were actually standing watching, but along the way you helped carry it. You felt what the weight of it was across your back and shoulders. You felt the weight of it. There was a physical experience of it, so you had to have carried it along the way, helped him carry. You were there when the disciples were not there. You stood with the women and stood and witnessed what was very painful to witness. Took incredible courage.
God, now I'm interested what my who I was during that lifetime. It's not important, but this is just stuff.
Now, I get that you followed him, that
Yeah,
you were inspired by what he said. I think you served him food. I think you had a relationship with him. He noticed the people around him, whether they were rich or whether they were poor, it didn't matter to him.
yeah,
You had this sort of some kind of relate. I almost get there. You brought him food. You brought, it weren't. There was a part of you served him in some way. Is what I'm getting. You served him and grew to really love him. And you had the courage to stand with the women as he was dying, where the rest of them did not. They were afraid.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm. But there's also the message you do no longer have to carry that because you're mm, there's something about you saying I was there and I saw. And just by standing in courageous witness, it was enough. And you took on some of the suffering because it was so painful to watch this man that you really loved suffer the way he did.
Mm.
And you no longer have to carry that. It's more that about that you stood and watched with courage that was the more important piece. That you were there and stood and saw. There's something about that was the most important piece.
Takes great love to be able to witness that with compassion and
Yes.
not run away,
Yeah.
but be there. Yeah, just feeling this deep love.
And the so mistake is not the right word, but I'll use the word mistake, okay? Is that you took on some of that huge suffering into your body to yourself and have carried it through lifetimes. You were never asked to carry that, but you did out of love. Does that, I mean, your motive was so out of such great love but it was not what you were being asked to do. You're being asked to witness. And so you can still hold the courage of the witness, but you do not have to hold the caring in your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My knees still feels like it's like compressing. It almost feels like possibly an injury from another time. I don't know,
Yeah.
but almost like the fear of having my legs be out too much. You know, like when you're riding a horse.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've ridden a horse, but I don't
I
think I've
have.
I haven't one in this lifetime. But I just imagine like when my when they go out too much, it's like it feels like a wishbone or like at any
Yeah.
moment it's gonna snap. It's gonna snap.
Yeah. I think it had to do with the impact of the accident, is what I'm hearing.
Okay.
And it'll take some time to work itself out. So, do you have like an object nearby? Any kind of object? A
Yeah,
crystal?
yeah. I have crystals on my desk here.
Okay, so I want you to look at one of the crystals. Who wants to help? Ask which crystal wants to help, and you'll know exactly which one it is. Okay?
Okay.
And can you say to that crystal, can you hold this pain in my knee?
Yeah.
It is a lot. Can you hold it for me?
Can you hold this pain that's in my knee?
Yeah. And it may not hold, it'll hold it for a while. It won't stay there, but it'll hold it for a while. See if that helps.
Okay. Yeah, I got four crystal pyramids. Um, one's like gold. I don't know what for urine the crystal for that. I forgot what it was. What's called
Citrine?
citrine. Yeah, and so my that friend is holding on to my UTI, and there's like the black obsidian, pink um, rose quartz, and then the amethyst.
Yeah.
Um, but the pink just feels, and it was that's what just I was
Yeah.
just
They
focusing.
volunteered to help.
Yeah.
I'm finding, in fact, when I was setting up the mandala, I set up a crystal mandala for people and I used a big citrine, just to let you know.
Mm.
In the center of the mandala for you, this today I was told to put a big citrine. I have a big, huge citrine that I put in the middle of the mandala that's holding your energy for me.
Mm.
So I find that interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start bringing us back and kind of closing out the session. So I'm going to take my hands off your shoulders, just slowly. I'm going to start returning to my room. I'm feeling like our session is coming to a close. I'm going to come back into the room, into my place. Yeah. Hmm. So, how are you doing?
Yeah. Other than my hip and the knee, the shoulders are a lot better, and
Yeah.
that's what's been really like affecting my sleep is that if that's tense, it's like just makes it really challenging to you know relax and all that stuff. So
Yeah. And what I want you to do is when you start thinking of your shoulders, drop your mind into the heart, into the ruby that Mary has placed, and say, "I was there and I saw."
I was there and I saw.
Yeah. So what it'll do is it'll drop the energy down, so the shoulders aren't carrying what has always been there. It's going to take a while for your shoulders to realize that it doesn't have to carry that any longer. There's like a muscle memory in your shoulders, if that makes sense. And so when they start feeling like they're contracting. You can drop down into the heart to the ruby that's there, that's light, and you can say, you can put your hand on your heart if that helps, and say, I was there and I saw. I bear wit. I bore witness. You know, it's really more than just seeing. I bore witness.
I bore I bore witness.
Yeah, because you held the witnessing. Do you see what I mean? That's bearing it.
Mm, yeah.
Because it's more than just seeing. You bore it. You actually held it. You saw and you held it.
Yeah, it's not like someone that witnessed it and then they kind of not like
They didn't
held it
take
in.
it in yet.
Yeah, yeah, you actually take it into your body, into
Yeah,
your being.
you
Into
stood witness. There's something about standing witness, bearing witness for the memory for the world, you know. So some people watched, you know, we can watch stuff and not even be affected. It's like kind of watching horrible things on TV, on the news, and just not being affected. But it's different when you bear it, when you stand and witness it and hold it. It's a different kind. You hold the memory for the world when you bear witness. Does that make sense? You held
yeah,
witness. It's like really
yeah,
a deep thing to
yeah.
hold
I,
witness.
I can almost feel it like it's like I don't want anyone else to bear it, and so I'm gonna uh, hold that me so it doesn't get um, dispersed and almost like where it's not taken into the heart per se, but more like uh, fear and kind of like um, um, almost like sharing what might have happened, but on this deeper level, it's almost like not wanting this to
Well, you're holding the memory of it, but you held it in your body, which you didn't need to do as a
yeah,
soul, but you felt like you had to hold it because it was so hard to watch him physically suffer.
yeah,
But it took incredible courage, just like anyone who witnesses an event deeply, it holds it in the memory of the world. By standing in witness, you hold it in the memory for the world at a deeper sense so that the world can access that memory. But when you hold it in your body, um, you went a little bit too far because then you held it in your physical body, but you stood and witnessed such a deep level, is what I'm hearing. And it was a benefit for the world that you stood and witnessed. That it's sort of like, unfortunately, the Holocaust, people try to say it really didn't occur, but people bore witness to what it was, that it could never be forgotten. This was bearing witness to something
mm,
in a deep way, that
yeah,
it could not be forgotten. It could not be pretended that it didn't happen.
yeah, yeah. That's good. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I never know where we're going.
I don't know either as well, but it always ends in laughter and lightness and joy. So
I never know where you were going with you. Every time is an adventure.
a line showed up today, so
So beautiful. Absolutely so beautiful. A
thank you,
part of your
Paulette.
soul was very showing us something very beautiful today. So thank you. It was a blessing to me also. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I will send you the recording when it's a whopper. So
Perfect. Thanks,
you
Paulette.
take care of yourself.
You
Blessings to
too.
you. And let me call the blessing field, please. I call the blessing field upon Adam, that it surround him with a soft, a light of pink is coming, of love and compassion, and just an acknowledgement and support of his incredible courage throughout many lifetimes. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is.
So it is. All right. Until next time, my friend.
Till next time.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.